The following program is seen statewide on California Public Television. Well, here we are in the nice little community of Mariposa, California. It's located about 40 miles east of Merced. We're in the Sierra foothills, and one of its claims to fame is that this place is known as the gateway to Yosemite. I bet that bus is going to Yosemite right now. But we have come to Mariposa not to do some shopping, although there's plenty of shopping to do here, not to visit the museums, although there's some great museums here. We are here to go to one of our state parks, and this is the most unusual and the most unique state park in our whole California state park system. All I can tell you for sure is that it is a definite example of one of California's golden parks. And if you're curious as to what this park is and what's in it, you're invited to come on along with us on this journey as we visit another one of California's golden parks.
I love you, California. You're the greatest state of all. I love you in the winter, summer, spring, and in the fall. I love your fertile valleys, your dear mountains I adore. I love your grand old oceans, and I love a rugged shore.
And here we are in front of this state park. It's the California State Mining and Mineral Museum. I'm standing here with Peggy Roning, who is the curator of this museum. And Peggy, let's just give it away right off the bat. Why is this state park so unique in California?
Well, it's because this park, actually this building, is rented from the Mariposa County Fairgrounds. The only real estate associated with this park are the rocks and minerals in the collection itself.
So there's no land in this state park?
That's right.
Just rocks?
Just rocks.
And wherever those rocks go, if the collection moves, that becomes the California State Mining and Mineral Museum, which is a California state park.
That's right.
That's very strange and wonderful.
Yeah, well, we're hoping to actually get a permanent place for the collection up in town. So one day, hopefully, we will have real estate and the collection all in one place.
Okay, but up until then, you've just got the rocks.
That's right.
But you've got some wonderful rocks in there.
We sure do.
And that's where we're going to spend the morning, inside the California State Mining and Mineral Museum here at the
Mariposa County Fairgrounds.
Okay, let's go inside. And here we are inside the museum, and Peggy, just as soon as you walk in the door, you are hit by something that is very historic right here in the front lobby.
That's right. These cases were brought up from San Francisco, from where the museum originally was located. The collection is actually over 100 years old. It was started in 1880 in San Francisco, and it moved around San Francisco a little bit because back at that time period, you know, San Francisco was burning down every other week. But eventually the collection was moved to the Ferry Building in San Francisco, and it stayed there until 1983. When the collection was moved up here to Mariposa.
Why Mariposa?
It was Mariposa because Mariposa actually was the only county or organization that submitted a proposal, a complete proposal, with a plan for how they would house and display the collection.
Wow, so these are the original cases, that the collection was in when it was in San Francisco.
That's right.
And why did California have a collection like this?
Well, back in 1880, when they established the Division of Mines and Geology, they hired their first state mineralogist. And being a mineralogist, once he was hired, he started collecting rocks and minerals.
Was there an official reason for having it, or was this just something somebody in the legislature decided we needed?
No, actually, I believe that the state mineralogist proposed that they have a state mineral collection, and an act was passed.
So what did they do? Send out a call for rocks from all over the state? People send in your rocks, or did they go out and start looking for them?
A combination of both, actually. Once people knew the collection was there, the state mineralogist knew people, so people would bring him rocks and minerals. And he actually went out and collected. There's about 100 mineral specimens in our collection that were collected by the first state mineralogist.
Now we've got some people in here. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Now, why are you here in the museum?
Because we show it passing and we are interested by stones, so we came in.
Now, you are from?
France, Paris, France.
Do you know much about rocks and minerals?
Not much, no.
Well, are you having a good time? Are you impressed?
We are discovering, of course I am impressed. Thank you.
You just saw the sign and came in not knowing for sure what was in here.
I didn't know. I know rocks were inside, but not much.
Well, we got a lot of rocks in here. Welcome to California.
Thank you.
Have a great stay. Do a lot of people just come in like that, not knowing exactly what they're getting into?
That's right. Yeah, actually, a few people see the sign as they pass by, and the visitor center in town and the history center are very good. When people go in and visit them and are asking what else to see in Mariposa, they send them down here. We get people from all over the world, of course, because people come from all over the world to see Yosemite, which is just up the hill from us.
All right, we're standing right in front of this first case, which is very interesting because we've got all of our state rocks and minerals. And I don't think most of us realize we have state rocks and minerals.
That's right.
Point out exactly, and these are official state rocks and minerals.
Right, they're state emblems.
Okay, we're starting over here with serpentine. Now, serpentine is our official
state rock.
The official state rock, and this one, this example is from Mariposa County.
That's right.
What do you use serpentine for?
It's a decorative rock, and it's just very common in California, which is why it was chosen.
Okay, next is benitoite, which is our
official state gemstone.
Oh, okay. Now, what is benitoite?
Benitoite actually is really interesting. It was chosen as the state gemstone because the only place where, actually the first place it was found was in San Bernardino County, California. They found very, very tiny examples of it in Texas and Japan, but the only place where you can see big crystals like that is here in California.
Okay, and that's our official state gemstone. And then here, of course, is gold, which is our official state
mineral.
State mineral. And when was that declared, our official state mineral?
Oh, gosh.
Probably early on when we were pulling so much of it out of the ground.
Yeah, I don't remember when it was officially made, because actually benitoite was only named the state gemstone in the 1980s.
Oh, really?
So it takes a long time. People have to lobby the legislature in order to have state emblems created.
So rockhounds lobby for their particular favorite gem or mineral to have it made the official one.
That's right, and it takes a lot of years.
And this has nothing to do with gems or minerals, does it? This is a skull.
This is a replica of a saber-toothed cat, which is our official state fossil. Now, because fossils are bones which have been changed into minerals, that's how come we have it here.
Into the case.
That's right, yeah. Paleontologists normally have studied geology, so it's a related subject.
From the official state gems and minerals, we come over here to a case that caught my eye because it's got something shiny in it that I don't think most of us here in California realize was mined in California.
That's right. Most people, when they see diamonds, they think of South Africa. But actually, there are some diamonds found in California in Butte County.
In Butte County?
That's
right. A lot of diamonds or just a few diamonds?
I think just a few. But then again, when people aren't looking for them specifically, remember when most people first came to California, they were pretty tunnel vision on gold.
Yeah.
And I think that they overlooked a lot of other minerals.
So we have diamonds in California, and what is this back here, this rubellite from San Diego County?
Rubellite is a kind of tourmaline. which is a gemstone, and San Diego County is actually really famous for tourmaline, which is of such large and clear quality that they can make cut gemstones from it.
Is that a precious gem? Is that expensive? Is that kind of like a ruby, or?
It's not quite as expensive as emerald and ruby. I think those are considered the most precious gemstones, but tourmaline is right up there.
And they're still mining that too?
They sure are.
And it's called tourmaline or rubellite?
Rubellite is a variety of tourmaline.
Okay, now don't get too technical on me, because you know, this is what most of us, I'm one of these typical visitors who doesn't know all of these various things.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you say tourmaline, you're like saying a cat, and then when you say rubellite, it's like saying Siamese cat.
Ah, okay, I'm learning. From diamonds and gold and rubellite, we go to another display here with a word that sure catches your eye, platinum. Now, that isn't found here in California.
It sure is. Like diamonds, there's a small amount of platinum here in California, and that particular specimen, that platinum nugget, is really impressive. It doesn't look very large, but most platinum nuggets from California are only the size of a grain of rice, and you can see that that is much larger than that.
Now, how do you get something like that? Does the state buy it? Does somebody will it to you? How does this happen? How do you get your collections?
It's a combination. Actually, this specimen it's from the Chapman and Fisher mine in Trinity County, and George Chapman, who I'm guessing because the last name is the same, was associated with the mine, donated that to the collection in 1890.
Really? That was a lot of money he donated.
It sure was.
And is this named the Chapman nugget? So when somebody finds it or donates it or whatever, it gets their name?
Sometimes they do. This particular specimen doesn't have a name to it, but certain larger specimens or really, really unique specimens are named.
Because I got to tell you, if I was donating a piece of platinum that big, I'd want it called the Hauser Nugget. I'd want something out of this.
Well, actually, if a donor wants that, we do accommodate them.
Now, this is interesting. A big piece of malachite, but it's from Bisbee, Arizona. How did something from Arizona sneak in the California collection?
Actually, our collection is more than just California, because we started acquiring those rocks and minerals back in the late 1800s, and back then it was hard to travel. So the original plan was to acquire representative minerals, beautiful specimens from around the world. It's only recently, since State Parks has taken the collection over, that we're really focusing on just acquiring California minerals.
So this was kind of a way to expose visitors to the collection, to these exotic things found all over the world and even in Arizona.
That's right. It's like a zoo for rocks.
Okay, now what else is interesting in this case that we should, boy, this piece, look at this, from
Namibia.
Namibia.
It's dioptase. Arizona and Namibia are really famous for copper minerals.
Wow.
But California also has copper minerals. This specimen here in the back, which is called linerite.
Linerite.
Now, of course, you can see the crystals on that specimen are really small and maybe don't look as impressive as the other minerals in this case. But for linerite from California, those are huge crystals.
Now, is this expensive? Is this a precious?
This, I would say, is one of our most precious specimens in the entire collection.
From Inyo County. Isn't it interesting, though, if you don't know what you're looking for,
right.
You'd think, you know, something shiny and glistening, or, you know, and yet this is the one in this case that gets the prize.
Rock hounds and mineralogists, of course, they know they can come in here and look and say, oh, wow, that's fabulous linerite. But most people, folks that are just tourists off the street or school kids who are just learning about rocks and minerals, you would never know.
Never even heard of linerite.
Exactly.
But I bet you there are rock hounds that go crazy when they come in here.
They sure do.
Do you have to shoo them out of here in the afternoon when the museum closes?
Sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
They just like to stay and fixate on the linerite.
That's right. Yeah, no, a lot of our visitors are people who collect rocks and minerals, and they just love this collection.
Wait a minute. What is this from England? Look at this. What a strange looking thing here. And this is
Hematite.
hematite,
Which is a
kidney ore.
It's a type of iron ore. And actually you can see from that specimen and then the specimen to the right of it that hematite comes in many shapes.
So these two are the same?
The same mineral, but in totally different shapes.
And oh, here's fool's gold up here. Pyrite. Now I've heard of that. There's a lot of that around California. This specific specimen comes from Peru.
That's right. Peru and Spain are very famous for their pyrite.
They came from outer space, and this is my favorite exhibit so far because look at the size of this meteorite right here. And there's a great California story behind that.
There sure is. That specimen, although it's actually from Alaska, the connection to California was that John Muir, who's so famous with the Sierra Nevada trails, found out about this meteorite and helped the California State Mining Bureau acquire this specimen for our collection.
Back in 1881. And what makes this so interesting is that it's so big.
That's right. Well, a lot of meteorites are fairly large, but back in the late 1800s, you could buy for, well, I don't imagine it was a small amount of money, but a reasonable amount of money. That's half a meteorite right there. But this specimen here, which is from California, the Ocotillo meteorite, this is, you can see this is a really tiny, and you're like, well, gosh, that's very regular in how it's shaped. And that's because nowadays they cut meteorites up into little tiny pieces because they're worth so much money. And so actually it's a way...
So that's not even really, that doesn't even look like a meteorite. That's just a slice of a meteorite.
That's what it is.
Now this looks like a meteorite, the San Bernardino meteorite. If we could pick that up, how heavy are these two big ones?
I'm not sure well actually that one says it's 128 pounds. I know when I've moved them.
This is 128 pounds?
They are very heavy. They're solid iron.
Wow. And this, though, is still my favorite. To look at it, you can kind of get the idea of how it came here from space in this fiery trail coming down to Alaska. And then John Muir acquiring it and bringing it here and putting it into our official state collection.
We sure are grateful he took the time to do that.
You got a lot of the showy, shiny stuff out here in the front lobby. You want to hook them in when they stick their head in the door, don't you?
We sure do.
All right, here is quartz from Calaveras County, and the sign here says quartz is the most common mineral on Earth.
That's right. Actually, you'll find that a lot of rocks have quartz in them.
But not like that. That is a beautiful specimen.
Yeah, actually, quartz is frequently found with gold, so all up and down the Mother Lode here in California, you can find beautiful quartz specimens.
And this over here, look at this one. Where is this from? From Michigan.
Yes, Michigan is very famous for copper. And in fact, it's one of the places in North America where the Indians actually did metalworking.
With copper.
That's right, because they could, without heating it up, they could hammer it into ornaments.
But now, is this the way the copper would have been found in the earth?
It sure was. It was found in the mine, shaped exactly like that, hanging out of the wall of this particular mine.
Oh, look. One that we can touch. And this says jade, so this has got to be expensive.
Actually, jade is fairly common in California. You can find it on a lot of our beaches.
Well, but look at this.
Yes, that's a very huge specimen.
This is a beautiful specimen of jade. Now, this would be very unusual to find something like this, wouldn't it? This big.
No, actually, you can find huge boulders of jade.
Really? Because this looks like pure jade to me. A lot of jewelry in there.
Yep, you sure could.
Wait a minute. Look at this. This is the weirdest one we've seen so far.
We get asked about this specimen all the time because the crystals of pyrite in their perfect form are perfect cubes. And people just cannot believe that nature forms these perfect cubes.
That's the way it came out of the ground.
It sure did. People all the time are saying, somebody cut that. You had a jeweler trim that. No, no, it just forms exactly like that.
from Spain.
Yeah, Spain is very famous for these perfect crystals.
Do they just pop out if you wanted to? And what do you do with this?
Well, what they are is they're most useful as a mineral specimen for people who collect minerals.
Boy, that is beautiful. And look at this case. Look at this piece up here, again from Arizona. Look how it glistens and shines. You've got so many beautiful things down here. The color from Australia. Here's one next to it from England and from Mexico. The floss fairy.
Floss fairy, yes, that's a name for aragonite when it's shaped like that. Aragonite is actually the same chemical as calcite, which also takes many forms.
Our French lady is getting ready to leave the museum, but she's been tailing us all morning, haven't you, listening to what she had to...
Yes, it was very interesting, and I learned a lot.
She was listening to your tour.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Goodbye, nice to meet you.
Have a great time here in California.
Bye.
She was listening to your tour. All right, now we've got a great room in here that's full of all kind of nice exhibits on hydraulic mining, and you've got this great assay office set up here with authentic assay office materials. This had to be in every little town up and down in gold country here in California, the hottest place in town.
Right, this is telling you whether your efforts were going to be worth it or not.
And this is all authentic stuff that you have acquired that really gives us an idea of what an assay office would have looked like.
That's right, we put a lot of work into this exhibit.
Now over here is something that I've never, well now here is the stamp mill built in California, the first quartz mill built in California, a stamp mill. Mm-hmm. And then what's nice about it over here is that you've got, turn that baby on. Let's show everybody how this works. Look at this. This is a model of a working stamp mill that they would have used to get the gold out of the ore. Where did you get this?
Actually, this was built by the Union Iron Works in San Francisco, and this model was built in 1900. This is an actual antique itself.
Now, why would they have built this in 1900? What would have been the purpose for building something like this?
Actually, as you can see from the electric lights in the model, they were commemorating the fact that the stamp mill that this model was based on had been electrified.
Can you turn it back on? I like it when it's moving. Look at this. It makes a great presentation here, and the visitors to the museum must love this.
Yeah, what's kind of nice about it is a lot of museums in the gold country have the stamp battery, which is the part where the stamps are going up and down there. But a stamp mill is a huge building. So this model actually allows our visitors to see the entire process that went on at the stamp mill.
Isn't it interesting? Today, no one in today's world knows much about a stamp mill. Back 100, 150 years ago, a stamp mill was, I mean, everybody knew what a stamp mill was and why it was so important.
Yeah, they were working in one, making money, selling stuff to people who worked in one, or they were building them in San Francisco.
Can you turn it back on and we'll just kind of fade out on this stamp mill going full blast? I really like this. I'm a sucker for stuff like this. Built back in
1900.
And still going strong.
It sure is.
Here in Mariposa. Well, we've saved the best for last, if that's possible, because we've seen some wonderful things here today. But inside this room is some amazing stuff. California gold.
That's not actually a shameless plug for your show. All of the specimens in this case are gold specimens from California. Actually, our collection is best known for the California gold in the collection.
Oh boy, it is just magnificent. But I gotta tell you, this stuff is kind of puny. This is just puny little stuff right here. Let's go for the big stuff over here. This is the
Fricot nugget. which is the crowning glory of our collection. This has an interesting story, actually. It was found in the late 1800s up in Spanish dry diggings in El Dorado County, and it was sold for $3,500 to a gentleman named Mr. Jules Fricot, and he took it to the Paris Exposition. And then no one had seen it for years. But then in the 1940s, it was found in a safety deposit box up
Where?
in Angels Camp, just north of Mariposa County, up in Calaveras County. And the really funny part of the story was that the banker who owned the bank where the safety deposit box was located was a gold collector. And all those years, for like 40 years, this specimen had been in his own bank and he had no idea.
And this nugget was found exactly the way it looks today?
That's right. It was found in a mine. There was a little bit of quartz that it was embedded in some quartz, but they used acid to remove the quartz.
Wow, so this is like your shining exhibit right here.
That's
People
right.
must just go crazy when they see this thing.
They sure do.
All right, and there's no mystery as to why you have this in a safe.
That's right.
Is there any way to even put a price tag? Because not only are we talking about the gold, we're talking about the history of this nugget as well.
That's right. I tell our visitors, because we always get asked how much it's worth, that they're looking at something that is worth more than its weight in gold. Because crystallized gold, to mineral collectors, they will pay a much higher price than just a per ounce
It is
for
so
gold.
beautiful.
And then, of course, this is the largest surviving gold specimen from the late 1800s that was found in California. So
Found
it would
in
be
1865 in El Dorado County, on the south side of the Middle Fork of the American River. Isn't it amazing that it has survived intact like that?
It's a
all
miracle.
these years? It's a miracle. Well, we have had an absolutely wonderful day here. You know, this is a great place to visit whether you know anything about minerals and gems or not.
All of our visitors always love visiting the museum and what they've learned, and we encourage everybody in California and around the world to come and see us when they're in Mariposa.
This is the official California collection.
That's right. It's the only place you can see it.
And it's a little bit off the beaten track in that most people don't really know it's here in Mariposa.
That's right. When you come into Mariposa, you need to hang a right and come down to the county fairgrounds.
And during certain times of the year, you can go to the fair as well.
You sure can. Ferris wheel right out in front of the building.
Thank you, ladies. These are two more members of the staff here. We have had an absolutely wonderful time here. This is definitely one of California's golden parks. The official name is?
The California State Mining and Mineral Museum.
In Mariposa, California. They don't own the land, but they sure own the collection. And in fact, this is a collection that belongs to all of us, right?
That's right, it does. These rocks and minerals are yours.
Say that.
So you can't take it.
I was hoping you were going to say that. I can't.
You can't take it. The minerals stay here.
All the gold in California is in somebody else's name. So if you